Good morning, good morning. So you spot the perfect job advertisement and you click apply in excitement, only to find out later that it's not really what it seemed. So let's dive into why job listings often don't match the reality and how to discern and find roles that genuinely align with what your career aspirations are. I'm drawing now on my 20 years plus in tech recruitment, and I'm going to reveal some insider tips to navigate these misleading waters and find the job that truly fits your requirements. So I'm James Foster, and this is the Careers Mastery Revolution. Let's get on with it. So why do many jobs fail to accurately reflect the actual role? Well, there's several good reasons for this. Well, no, there's several reasons for this. I don't think any of them are good, to be honest with you. But the first of those is that very often the people that actually list the job really don't know the job. So the people that are responsible for advertising those jobs, putting them up there, they're either the internal recruitment team or they're external recruiters that are advertising on behalf of an organisation. Or they're just people that have, funnily enough, come along, picked up the role, seen it there, and re-advertised it. So quite a lot of the time, the adverts that you're seeing are not even being produced by the company itself, and that. So that in and of itself is not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing. External recruiters are pretty good, quite a lot of them, at what they're doing, but some of them not so much. And generally, the ones that companies tend to want to use are the companies that are a little bit on the cheaper side, and so therefore they don't have the same skills and experience as specialist recruiters, and they don't really understand the job that they're listing. And so when they put it together, they put together what they see in a job ad without really understanding what it's about. So that's the first reason. The second reason that it doesn't really reflect it is because they're taking it from a job description that may have been produced for a different role, or for the role as it used to be, or perhaps it's for the role that the hiring manager used to work on, if you see what I mean. So they've gone to what they had in to hand, and they've cobbled together excuse me, a job description from sources that are just not accurate about what the job's about. Rather than sort of sitting down and defining the role from scratch and understanding several points that they need to understand to make a proper job description, a proper job advertisement to start with. And that is to really understand what it is they're looking for from the person that they're bringing into their organization, and what it is that they will already have done versus what they will be doing. And the difference there is that, when you go into a job, you will upskill in some respects. You won't have done everything that's going to be in the job. And so therefore, if you just pick out what's in the job description and say, we want people that have done this, it doesn't reflect the person that they are looking for. It reflects the person that you might become, but not the person that you're looking for. And so therefore, when you see what's written down and you apply for it, then it turns out that actually when they look at you, they're going, oh, no, that's not really what we wanted at all. What we really wanted was somebody that's going to get to that level over the period of the next couple of years, but who's not starting at that level, who's maybe done this at the moment, and we can build up to it. That may be what their real requirement is, but it's not what's appeared in the job description. What else is there? There are so many reasons why job descriptions are inaccurate. One of the other principal reasons, as I've already mentioned, is the fact that the people that are actually writing them don't know what they're about in the first place. And the second problem with that is that those people are the people that are doing the initial assessments. So you come in, you get assessed, and they go, yeah, it looks like you got the right skills because you've matched these requirements. Then you go in to see the hiring manager, and it turns out to be a completely different job than what you're expecting. Now, I said I've done this for 20 years. you do not know how many times this has happened. It doesn't sound like it should happen, does it? It doesn't sound like something that should be the norm, but it's so often the norm that what the company is effectively saying it's looking for versus what they're actually looking for, there is a huge disconnect. So what does this disconnect reveal about the reality of the traditional job application system? Well, what it means is that you cannot really rely on what you are seeing when you are applying for a job. And let me tell you now that when you're applying for a job, there's a couple of things that are absolutely vital to make sure that you get picked up and taken through to the next level. And those are the couple of things really are that you are applicable, you're relevant to the role, and you've made it and you've shown that you're relevant to the role. So you've got to do some work ahead of time to make sure that your CV reflects the achievements that you've got relevant to that role. And if they do, then the chances are you're going to get selected out. Well, that's a theory anyway. However, so you put in all that work for a job that is disconnected from what the reality is, and you're actually finding that the job when you get there is something completely different. So the disconnect or the systems or sorry, what am I trying to say there? What I'm trying to say here is that the reality is that when you go to the active job market, the jobs as you see them are not necessarily as they are. And so therefore, how do you effectively apply for them? So what really happens is people know this instinctively, and they don't make those changes, and they just hit the apply button, off their CV goes, and they get nothing back in return because they're just generally applying for a role with a general CV that's not geared up to anything. And it really does cause frustration and resentment in the job market. I should point out that when I'm talking about the job description here, or the advert, I'm talking about the process as well. These are the people that are involved with actually doing the assessment to understand who you are, and what you can bring to the organisation, and therefore whether or not they should be bringing you in to interview you, and creating their shortlist for their hiring managers to go and agree to do the interviews. That whole thing is disconnected, and that's what the issue is. And the reason for that is because there's a lack of knowledge, a lack of understanding, as I've already said. So you end up frustrated. You end up applying for role after role after role, and just getting either nothing back, or getting a no, you're not right for this role back, or even going on interviews and finding out it's total mismatch for what you're expecting. So what changes can you make to ensure that you know exactly what the role is that you're applying for in the first place? This is where it gets radical. And it's as simple as this: don't apply for roles online. That simple. Don't apply to the active market. It doesn't serve you. So let's step back from that just a little bit. There are a lot of roles that it does serve. Generalist roles that are, what's the word, cookie cutter type of a role. It's simple, rubber stamp. That's what the role is. The general roles, I'm not trying to put these roles down. There's a lot of good people in those doing those roles, and the system is geared up for those roles. It's not geared up for specialists like you. It's not geared up for people who are who have specific sets of skills, experience, who have done specific things. It's not geared up for that, and therefore it doesn't serve it. So if that's you, don't apply for a job online. Simple as that. So how are you going to apply? How are you going to do it? Well, there are several ways. One way would be to work with very good recruiters who know you and who know what you're about. And I know a lot of people that do that. I've worked with people of that in that nature in the past, in that relationship in the past, where you know what they're about. you understand them, and you can represent them, and you also know the businesses and the jobs and the people. They know these specialist recruiters. They know the market. They know the hiring managers. They know they can get into the back of the system. They know how to get you promoted into these organisations. There's a slight problem with that, is in so much as finding those people in the first place. But once you have found them, 2 or 3 of those is going to work well for you. The other way you can do this is you can take control of it yourself and effectively do what we do as recruiters, which is to assume where a role might be and apply directly to the hiring manager, not the internal recruitment team, not the acquisition team, not HR. Don't go in through that road. Go directly, connect with them. LinkedIn is an easy way of doing this, but it's not the only way of doing this. Connect with them, message them, talk about value, talk about what you can achieve. Ask them for what if they are going to be in the market, whether you should have, whether it would be worth having a conversation to see where you might bring benefit to their organisation. These sorts of things. It sounds like it could be quite an interesting thing to be doing if you know how to go about doing it, and that's of course where we come in. What I can show you how to do it. Basically, I have got the mechanism by which this can be done. I can show you how you can avoid the active market altogether, and I can help you to find jobs that are not even listed on the job market in the first place. It's what we as recruiters do. This is how good recruiters work. It's not how all recruiters work, but it's how good recruiters work. We build relationships with hiring managers, and we find out what it is that they're really about, and we give them what they're really looking for. And that's where good recruitment really does work. Unfortunately, a lot of companies don't like working with good recruiters because we're not cheap. However, I think I've got my point across, which is, there's a big disconnect between the system as a whole, the way it works, the active market, and if you're a specialist, if you need, if you have special, what's the word for it? If you've got skills, experience that are very specific, in demand, but hard to sort of match, and do not fit into a cookie cutter type of a template, then you need to not work that system and work around that system, either through a recruiter, which is a good way if you can find the right recruiters to work with, or take charge of it yourself. And for that, I can show you how to do it. I will put a link in the comments with this video, which will allow you to set up a 20-minute call with me using Zoom. Probably, I would think now in early January, and we can have a chat about how I can help you find the job that you really want. This is James Foster from the Careers Mastery Revolution.